You ever notice how storms never really end? Sure, the sky clears, the rain stops, but the ground beneath your feet still trembles. Like the earth is whispering, "You're not safe yet." That's exactly what Sullivan's Crossing feels like in its Season 3 premiere. And let me tell you, it doesn't just continue the story, it digs its claws deeper into heartbreak, healing, and secrets that this tiny Nova Scotia town is desperately trying to bury. But here's the question that keeps me up at night. If every smile in Sullivan's Crossing hides a secret, how many lies are we about to uncover this season? And more importantly, whose truth will break everything apart? I'll be honest with you, the opening of this premiere hit me harder than I expected. Because the very first thing we see is Cal. Yes, that Cal. Walking back into town after survival training in the woods. And the second his boots hit the dirt, you can feel the story shift. He doesn't need fireworks, he doesn't need grand speeches. His silence says everything. The man radiates that quiet storm energy, the kind that tells you, his and Maggie's story is far from over. But here's where the suspense twists the knife. When Cal casually offers to help Maggie unpack her new place, it seems innocent. Small, almost nothing. And yet, it's the kind of nothing that could change everything. Because beneath his laid back words is a secret desire, a forbidden yearning to anchor himself back into Maggie's life. The real question, will she let him in, or will her own storm of grief push him away again? See, Maggie may laugh, she may smile, but her eyes, they betray her. The trauma of her miscarriage still lingers like a shadow she refuses to step into. And trust me, the premiere doesn't let you look away. It forces you to confront it with her. When Cal gifts her a delicate necklace over dinner, it should have been a romantic milestone. But instead, she whispers those 3 brutal words, "I just need a minute." And suddenly the air goes still. That wasn't rejection. It was fear, grief, the desperate need for space. Now tell me this. Have you ever wanted someone so badly, but their silence said more than their words? That's Maggie and Cal. And it's what makes their storyline the lifeblood of this season. Because nothing here is rushed. Every pause, every glance, every hesitation, it's loaded with unspoken tension. We're not watching a love story. We're watching 2 broken souls trying to rebuild themselves. And that journey is fragile. But let's twist the knife even deeper. While Maggie's battling her silent grief, over at the fire station, Rafe is playing with literal fire. He's burned out, working double shifts since Connie left, stumbling under the weight of being interim fire chief. And then, Sydney walks in. And what starts as playful teasing explodes into one of the most scandalous moments Sullivan's Crossing has ever seen. Because just as the tension between them boils over, guess who walks in? The new fire chief, Cooper. And instead of a firm handshake and respect, he's greeted with Rafe and Sydney in a compromising mess that words can't clean up. The humiliation is sharp, immediate, unforgettable. And Cooper doesn't yell. He doesn't rant. His punishment cuts way deeper paperwork. Rafe, once standing tall at the station, is reduced to shuffling files in an office. Pride stripped. Reputation shattered. Now pause with me here. Because I've got to ask you, do you think Rafe and Sydney's passion is worth the cost? Or is this the moment that destroys him as a leader forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this is the kind of scandal that echoes through a small town like wildfire. And listen, before we go any deeper, if you're the kind of person who loves dissecting the forbidden secrets and hidden heartbreaks of shows like Sullivan's Crossing, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Because trust me, you don't want to miss the forbidden knowledge I've got lined up for the rest of this season. Alright, let's head back to the crossing itself, where the real war isn't about love or scandal. It's about tradition versus change. Sully, the man who's held this place together with sticky notes and old coffee mugs, suddenly finds himself in battle with Edna's modernization crusade. She wants computers, websites, statements from Sully himself. But here's the thing. Sully's not just resisting a new booking system. He's resisting erasure. Every time his mug is moved, every time his routine is disrupted, it's like his identity is being rewritten without his permission. And this is where the premiere gets sneaky. Because while Maggie's grief plays out loud, Sully's pain plays out quiet. His war with Edna isn't about sticky notes. It's about legacy. About the fear that change will erase the soul of the crossing. And let's be honest, don't we all have a little Sully in us? That fear that the world's moving too fast, that the things we love most will be replaced, digitized, forgotten. But just when you think you've got a grip on the premiere, it drops a bombshell in the form of Helen Culver, a romance novelist who storms into the crossing like a hurricane. Double-booked cabin, Sharp tongue, zero patience. And instantly, she locks horns with Sully. Their tension. Oh, it's electric. Not romantic, at least not yet, but transformative. Because Helen isn't just here to write, she's here to provoke. To challenge Sully into finding his voice. And when she pushes him into writing a statement about the crossing's legacy, what starts as irritation turns into revelation. Because Sully doesn't just write a blurb for a website. He writes a testament, a history, a battle cry. His great-grandfather's journey from Ireland, the sacrifices that built Sullivan's Crossing, the resilience that still holds it together. And suddenly, you realize this isn't just about modernization versus tradition. It's about survival, about identity, about the very soul of this town standing on the edge of change. And that's where I've got to leave you hanging. Because if there's one thing this premiere proves, it's that Sullivan's Crossing doesn't give you easy answers. It gives you storms. And storms, my friends, always leave wreckage. But here's the thing that nobody's talking about. And it's the one truth Sullivan's Crossing dares you to notice. Maggie's biggest battle isn't with Cal, or even her grief. It's with herself. Think about it. Maggie was trained to be a doctor, right? She spent her whole life believing that knowledge and logic could protect her from chaos. That if she followed the rules, she'd always have control. But grief doesn't care about degrees. Trauma doesn't care about training. And when she lost the baby, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was failure. At least, that's how she sees it. And isn't that the most forbidden truth of all? That the people who look strongest often carry the heaviest cracks. And the show doesn't sugarcoat it. In one of the most haunting scenes, Maggie meets a mother with her baby during a check-in. It looks ordinary at first, even sweet. But then the baby laughs. And just like that, Maggie's entire facade shatters for a second. Her eyes brim with tears, her throat tightens, and when someone asks if she's okay, she lies. It's just allergies. Tell me, have you ever done that? Pretended the tears were just allergies, when deep down your heart was breaking. Yeah, that's Maggie. And that's why her story feels so real. And the nightmares, don't even get me started. The flashbacks pull us back into those sterile hospital walls, the suffocating silence after she learned her baby was gone. She tries to rationalize it. It was all the stress. It was too much for the baby. But her voice cracks because deep down, she doesn't believe it. She blames herself, and that's what makes every interaction with Cal so unbearable and so magnetic at the same time. Because when he gives her that necklace, he's not just offering love, he's offering forgiveness. And forgiveness terrifies her more than anything. Now pause here and think. What's scarier to you? Losing someone you love, or letting them see how broken you really are? Because Maggie's choosing silence, and silence can destroy faster than words ever could. But Sullivan's Crossing isn't just Maggie's battlefield. It's a mirror for everyone's battles. Look at Rafe. His scandal with Sydney isn't just about lust or embarrassment. It's about weakness. About a man who's trying to carry the weight of a firehouse, but crumbles when temptation knocks. And the punishment. Brutal. Paperwork may sound boring, but in a town like this, it's exile. It's humiliation. And worst of all, it's permanent in the eyes of the people who whisper about him behind closed doors. And here's where the suspense loops back. Because Rafe isn't done. We know he's not. You think a man with that much pride will settle for pushing papers? Not a chance. So the real question becomes, what mistake will he make next? And who will burn when he does? Now I've got a hypothetical for you. Imagine you're in Rafe's shoes. You've lost the respect of your crew. You've embarrassed yourself in front of your new boss, and the whole town knows it. Would you cut ties with Sydney to save your reputation? Or double down because passion's the only thing keeping you alive? Drop your choice in the comments. I'm curious who among you would risk everything for love. Meanwhile, Sully's war with Edna and Helen simmers like a pot you forgot on the stove. One push, one spark, and it boils over. When Edna insists he write that personal statement, Sully resists with every fiber of his being. I'm not good with that sort of thing. He growls, and you feel his pride shaking under the surface. But Helen, oh, she knows exactly how to poke the bear. She edits his words, critiques his voice, provokes him with playful jabs until finally, his frustration explodes into something raw and powerful. And here's the forbidden knowledge nobody expected. Helen doesn't want to embarrass Sully. She wants to unlock him. She knows that behind his stubbornness is a story waiting to be told. And when he finally lets it out, his great-grandfather's voyage from Ireland, the sacrifices that built this place, you realize this isn't just a personal statement. It's a manifesto, a declaration that Sullivan's Crossing is more than cabins and check-ins. It's blood, it's history, it's survival. And suddenly, Sully, this man clinging desperately to the past, finds his voice by stepping into the future. Isn't that ironic? The thing he resisted most becomes the thing that finally preserves his legacy. And you can feel it, can't you? This won't just affect him. It's going to ripple through Maggie, Edna, Helen, everyone in the crossing. Because when one voice finally speaks its truth, it forces others to confront theirs. But the premiere isn't satisfied with giving you closure. Oh no, it thrives on uncertainty. It ends by leaving us perched on the edge of a knife. Maggie admits to Cal, in the most vulnerable confession yet, that she's not fine. That she thought she could handle the miscarriage, but she couldn't. And when Cal whispers, "It wasn't your fault," you want to believe it with her. But you also know healing doesn't come from words. It comes from what happens next. So now we wait. Will Maggie let Cal in, or push him away for good? Will Rafe redeem himself, or fall further into disgrace? Will Sully embrace the modern world, or cling so hard to the past that he breaks the crossing itself? That's the storm Sullivan's Crossing leaves us in. And trust me, storms may pass, but the wreckage always remains.